Everyone keeps telling us that Technomancer turret builds are the new meta in WorldSlayer, and I say, screw that, let's blow some shit up. My Technomancer RPG build is just fun to play. Beat the Arbiters in 30 seconds, melt elites, one-shot everything else, all with infinite ammo and enough survivability that I haven't died in hours and hours of playtime. Let's get into it. The class tree is pretty standard, going deep into the bottom anomaly power branch to pick up tech bond and buffs to anomaly power, cooldown reduction and resistance piercing. All perfect for an anomaly power build. Buffs to max health, resistance armor and damage from elites for me and my teammates give me a solid base for survivability. Wipeout remains a solid execution buff and should be part of any AP build. The one odd looking choice is exposing toxin, which applies vulnerability, a 15% damage debuff which was the only status effect not nerfed in WorldSlayer.
Let's go!
But wait, you may be asking, how will I be applying Toxic when I'm not running Blighted Rounds or Blighted Turret? Well, that is where Lethal Devices from the packs tree comes in. Any enemies that aren't one-shot by my RPG or Shrapnel mines will have Toxic and Vulnerability applied. Euthanizer and Virulent Compound further increase the debuffs of these status effects. In a lot of AP build guides, I have seen Override picked up for its buff to Anomaly Power. Don't. It is not optimal for this build. The damage that my rockets and mines do scale much better off depleted core, so packing as much status power as you can onto your gear is a primary focus, which is good news as this comes as standard on the Torrential Downpour head, chest and legs. The other notes in the packs tree I have to take are all good ones. Initial Striker provides a nice buff to anomaly power. Painkiller improves my survivability, and Break the Ranks makes applying toxic and vulnerability to every elite easy. This also highlights one of the awesome benefits of the skills I am using, Shrapnel and Tools of Destruction, because both of these interrupt and stagger elites, preventing them from using any of their more annoying skills. The other brilliant benefit is that when I'm using my RPG, which is 100% of the time, elites can't stagger me. This alone makes it a top tier skill for me, allowing me to ignore all of their attacks and face tank them. Speaking of face tanking, check out Extreme Rates controller faceplates, which are easy to install and won't break the bank unlike custom controllers. Get a further 10% off with my code STAYCASUAL. The final skill I'm using is Fixing Wave. This provides great survivability for you and your teammates, and with Quartermaster provides me with infinite ammo for my RPG. While playing this build, I activate Fixing Wave on cooldown and also weave mines and rockets, which works well with the cooldown on Fixing Wave. This also helps to overcome one of the bugs with Shrapnel and the Torrential Downpour gear set. The gear set bonus adds additional cluster bombs to my Shrapnel, which proc after the mine has exploded. If you spam mines though, then the effect doesn't always happen. So I drop a mine and then weave in a rocket. This spaces out the mines enough that you get the full benefit of the cluster bombs, which can easily double the damage output. I've already covered that I'm using the head, chest and legs of the Torrential Downpour gear set. Status power is a key stat that you should be focusing on, along with anomaly power and cooldown reduction. I have mentioned the Quartermaster, Euthanizer and Virulent Compound mods. The rest of the mods focus on buffing Tools of Destruction, Shrapnel and my survivability. Demolition Man is a must to get those really big hits. Rocket Man and Bang for Your Buck increase your RPG ammo up to a spicy 11 rockets. Trap Cluster and more traps allows me to throw 4 mines between cooldowns, and more damage gives them the punch I am looking for. For survivability I'm running Damage Absorber and Perseverance Shield. The latter is a little optional, but it has worked incredibly well for me, removing those instances when a couple of hits at once leave you scrambling to heal quickly. It has been a big factor in not a single death in hours of gameplay with this build. Damage Absorber synergizes incredibly well with the armoured unit node, buffing my physical damage resistance to 75% when active, which is more than enough to keep me alive. The final essential mod I would use, but I am still waiting for the right drop to do so, is Captain Hunter, which even after its nerf is still a great damage debuff. More optional mods I'm using include Thunder's Legacy for its passive AoE damage, which I personally really like. And if you are liking this video, then hit that like button. Anomaly Echo provides a huge buff to my anomaly power, getting it up to 1.4 million. Finally, Fine Tuned is a little bit meh. It's okay, but there are plenty of mods I would prefer to be running, like Special Delivery, Supplies, Parasimulation, Danger Close, Stand Tall or Radical Therapy. Even mods like Tactical Retreat or Bad Medicine could be quite interesting to layer in here. You might have noticed that I haven't mentioned weapons at all. That's because I don't use them. They are a stat stick for this build. And for my stat stick, I'm using Emerald Chaos, which comes with status power on it. The only mod that I think that is worth using is Deathronome, which busts my anomaly power by over 200,000. And because Scrapnel is only considered on cooldown once the last mine is thrown, and Tool of Destruction is never on cooldown, I get this buff when I'm weaving my mines and rockets in my primary damage phase. Isn't Mage's Rage the go-to AP weapon buff, you might be asking? That is true if you're actually shooting your weapon, which you won't be as long as you don't screw up your RPG ammo. So Deathronome is just a better all-round option. This is a great weapon if I do screw up, mind you, with Noxious Spawn applying my debuffs and dealing nice damage, while Dimensional Rocket is one of the best damage mods. For my Ascension Points, I'm focusing on status power, anomaly power and anomaly damage. The rest is up to you really. Buffing damage to elites is never a bad thing, as is more survivability, but that's about it. This build melts everything. If you are struggling with the Arbiters AoE axe phase, this is no longer a problem, because they never get to it. Look out for more Outriders content coming very soon.